So a lot of you guys reach out to us to purchase an Airbnb or a second home that you can use as a part-time rental. So today we're going to get into some of the pitfalls and things that you should think about if you're buying a second home in Orlando. So today I'm introducing you or reintroducing you to Brianna Sawyer. Brianna, hey, good to see you. So Brianna helps us with a lot of our Airbnb rentals, and she's fantastic about the neighborhoods. I know of you like the investment side. People love working with you on the Airbnb stuff. So thanks for joining me.
Of course.
Awesome. So tell people, what is an Airbnb, or that's what we use for short-term rental. What is that?
Yes. Well, it's a residential property that you can rent out nightly like a hotel.
Got it. But it's not a hotel like a condo-tel typically.
No, it's not like a condo-tel. So Airbnb homes are different than other residential homes because of the way that they're built. Typically they have more bathrooms than residential homes will have. So maybe you'll have 5 en-suites and a half bath so that when family comes, they all have privacy.
Yeah.
So the structure of the home is a little bit different. And also the community itself. They have resort amenities beyond what you'd see in regular Florida residential communities. We already have a lot of amenities in our residential homes, but for example, the resort we're in now, Solara, they have a wave rider, they have a children's splash pad with the whole, gym, playground inside the pool, walking trails, sports courts, everything.
Got it. Because that's really like when you're on vacation, you want something to do that mimics like maybe what Universal and Disney have, right?
Right, they're resorts. They're true resorts.
Sure. And how does this differ then compared to like a long-term rental investment for somebody?
Definitely, they're totally different. So with Airbnbs, the benefit of having an Airbnb investment property is that you can use the home yourself. So if you have a long-term rental, you have a tenant in it typically for a year, and when you visit Florida, you can't get inside the home. So Airbnbs are really for that family, that investor who visits Florida often. You love Disney, you love to be here in Central Florida, close to the beaches, all that good stuff. You can come use the home yourself and rent it when you're not here. So you're really offsetting the cost of your investment home.
All right, so where are these short-term rentals typically located in Orlando?
Most of them are right close to Disney World. So you've got Reunion, Kissimmee, Osceola County, Polk County is where these homes are.
Yeah, so and like that would be like Davenport, Champions Gate, and the Polk County area?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And what about like a Celebration, right? That's kind of very Disney-esque.
Right, it is very close to Disney. Celebration's on top of Disney, but they're residential homes only in there.
Yeah,
short-term rentals.
Don't allow any short-term rentals,
No.
So that's one of the things we get a lot of when people reach out to us about buying a house here in Orlando is like, I want to live in an area that doesn't allow short-term rentals. So is it zoned, right?
So around Disney World, we have communities that are specifically zoned for resorts. Airbnb is this gray area. In most of the country, you can Airbnb your home anywhere, but because of our proximity to Disney, many communities that are residential only are very sensitive to it. So you may be able to rent your home Airbnb, but it's very likely that the HOA will crack down on you. So these resorts are specifically designed for that. You will never be told that you cannot rent your home Airbnb. It's what they were built for. It's what the amenities are for. It's why they're close to Disney World.
Yeah, and some of them don't allow you to do long-term, right? You had mentioned that.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things that you really need to look out for because so many people say, I want to get the second home, come down here on my vacations, and eventually I may relocate to Florida. So you really want to make sure that it does not restrict long-term residency.
That's huge. We actually got a call this week on somebody. They're like, we want to relocate 3 years from now. So we're going to buy it now, lock into today's rates, and then try to move into it when we're ready. And some neighborhoods don't allow that.
That's right.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so obviously a lot of Airbnbs here in Orlando. How are like occupancy, both like occupancy rates and rental rates doing in general right now?
Very pleasant surprise with everything that's going on. Occupancy rates are doing really well. So when I started with vacation homes in 2014, we would quote 60% occupancy to do rental projections as a very conservative number. Between 2014 and 2019, that grew very steadily. So 2019, we were looking at about 80% for a conservative number, which was great. The reason being, I think Airbnb got really popular. That app, everyone knows that now you don't have to rent a hotel or several hotel rooms for your family. You can rent a home like this. So they have access to it with the Airbnb app. So 2019, 80%. With COVID, things changed a lot. So at the moment, this is the pleasant surprise, we're using 70%. We're still seeing really good occupancy. The big difference at this current moment is that we don't have as many international visitors as we typically have. So versus the 1 and 2 week stays that would normally be booked, we're seeing more staycations, 3, 4, 5 night stays. So it's keeping occupancy high though.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's two things about that. So international, I've been told, is like 30% of our market here, right? And that's people from literally all over the world. And those people book like well into advance, right? Whereas I've heard from a lot of our short-term clients that are like, people will call me on Friday and want to book for Saturday.
Yes.
You know, that's a way
Yeah.
different model than they were used to before.
Yeah,
COVID.
that's totally the trend right now. So we don't know how long it will take. Hopefully, you know, within the next year or so, we'll go back to more of what we're used to. But people are still coming to Orlando. The people who would typically maybe in the U.S. be traveling outside the U.S. are now coming to Orlando in this period.
That's a great point,
Yeah.
for sure. What about like average rates and that sort of thing? Are we seeing things dive? Are they picking up for like nightly rentals?
Yeah, it did a little bit during COVID. It went down a bit. Right now, they're pretty strong, the rental rates. It depends totally on the property style, of course. We have studio condos all the way up to 13, 14 bedroom single family homes.
Yeah,
So,
insane like mansion style houses, for sure, very cool. All right, let's talk to them about the different size of these houses, right? So right now we're in a townhome, and townhome, like what are the ranges of these Airbnbs in terms of size and bedrooms?
So like I said before, we have studios up to 13, 14 bedroom homes. But the typical home that you'd want to get into is 3, 4, 5, 6 bedroom. If you talk to most property managers, they're going to tell you that the sweet spot is a 4 or 5 bedroom single family home with a pool.
Okay.
Townhomes are a great option too. We're in a 4 bedroom townhome right now, and the one thing about resort townhomes is they have pools.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Most townhomes in Orlando don't come with a pool.
No, most of them don't. No.
Right.
But in the resorts, you definitely want it. Even if it's not a full-size pool, they want something to come home to, and it's called a splash pool.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And so, because usually they're using the amenity in the neighborhood
Right.
for the most part. So what are some things that people absolutely must have in their Airbnb if they want to be successful?
Yes. Well, one of the really important things about structure is you want a bedroom on the first floor. I always tell people when you're looking at the homes, one of the things you really want to consider is how you will personally use it. So think of that first, because really we have so many visitors in Orlando.
Yeah.
Everything rents. But what are you going to use with your family? You know, what
Sure.
do you need? And then if going beyond that, the first floor room, a lot of people travel with family that don't want to take the stairs. So bedroom, bathroom count, you want as many suites as you can have. That's always really popular.
What about a game room? Is that important?
Yes.
Yeah, game room.
Most garages are converted into game rooms. Sometimes you've got the bonus room upstairs, but you're selling your home on the internet, so with photos. And the more decoration that you have and theming, that draws a lot of people. That's exciting for their vacation.
For sure, they want something to do when they're outside of the parks. Yeah, that makes sense. Were you waving at somebody?
Yeah, someone was up the door.
So, all right. So let's talk about management, because a lot of times folks are buying a house from anywhere else in the world, right? They're not down the street being able to fix the toilet if something goes wrong. So let's talk about management and what do they do and what does it cost?
Right. So we have many short-term property management companies in the area. What they do is they can do everything for an owner, or they can be more of an a la carte service. But generally, they are going to take care of the maintenance of the home. They hire the cleaners to come in. They do the bookings. They will change furniture packages. A lot of them have vendors that they'll use when you purchase a home. If you want to upgrade it and spruce it up, they'll have, we can help you with the flooring and the paint and getting some new furniture, that whole intake process. Another important thing that they do is they set up all your licenses. So you need your business tax license, your hotel license, and they'll get you up and running as a business.
So you have to run this like a business. It can't just be like out of the back of your car.
No. Yeah.
Although I'm sure some people try, yeah.
Some people try, but Airbnb actually now collects the tourist tax and they remit it to the state. So, but in general, if you're on other platforms too, you want to make sure that you're collecting the tax from the guests and remitting it to the state.
Perfect, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about new construction versus like buying resale, because there's we're in a new construction neighborhood here, but there's plenty of older houses too that are zoned Airbnb. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so new construction is great because you get a brand new home. You don't have to do any maintenance right up front. You get the builder warranties and the amenities are newer. So things like that, new shiny home. The benefit of resale is typically when you're buying a resale vacation home, it's going to be fully furnished. Like I said, the older ones you might have to paint and do flooring, which is pretty typical. They get beat up with luggage coming in and out and everything.
I vacation hard. I'm sure other people do too.
Yeah, they do. So after a few years, they need some sprucing up, but you get a fully furnished house with a resale home.
Perfect. All right, so let's talk to them maybe about just 4 mistakes or pitfalls that they could run into of buying a short-term rental. What would you say number 1 would be?
Number 1 would be the location of the home.
Yeah.
So we have vacation homes as far down in South Polk County and Haines City, which is great if you are really interested in Legoland. There are some attractions down there that you'd be close to, but you're going to get higher rental rates the closer that you get to Disney World.
Got it. So based on the location, if someone said, hey, a lot of times they call me, I only have $300,000 to buy a short-term rental. So they look in that Haines City area, right? But the numbers might not make sense. You're like looking at your nightly rentals, like, yes, you can afford it, but are you going to get any money back? That kind of thing.
Right. That's the same thing like condo versus townhome. The condos might be slightly less than townhomes, but if you can get a townhome, I always say go that way because you'll get a little bit higher rental per night and the monthly fees are way less for townhomes.
That's cool. That's huge. Number two, what would you think a second pitfall is?
I think management. Management makes or breaks a vacation rental because that's who you're going to be working with on an ongoing basis.
Sure.
So a lot of the time when you purchase an existing vacation rental, it has a manager in place. So if you keep that same manager, generally whatever bookings they have in the future, you're going to take over. So that can be a great benefit. But you should look at the management company and interview several because another management company could book it up pretty quickly. And if they're not maintaining the home, or if you get some red flags, like if you come in and you see that it's not very well maintained, dust on the ceiling fans, things like that. Also, when you're calling to hire them, you want to make sure that they're answering the phone really promptly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I would even ask the listing agent of it, like if we're the buyer's agent on the side, because we represent people from all over the world on the sell side as well. And it's interesting when I talk to the sellers and I ask like, hey, so how's your manager been? They're usually pretty open. Like, these are the things I like, these are the things I really hate, this is the reason we're selling, whatever it might be. But so as a buyer's agent, asking the listing agent of like, hey, so how are they doing? Like, how are the rentals? Can you give me the financials? Like all of those things are really important, right?
Yeah, a lot of the time they will provide us with financials. Every management company does it different, so they're all formatted differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get an email with, here were the numbers for the year.
Yeah.
And then other times I get great spreadsheets, so yeah, those are things to look out for.
Got it. What about, so maybe not a pitfall, but what do they charge? What are managers charging these days?
Some are a bit different, but usually they're charging 20% on the bookings, and I see $150 to $200 per month as like just a monthly fee for management.
That's actually not too bad. I mean, I know some of them were charging up to 30%, but they were doing everything, and then there's a la carte that are a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. Some of them, when they have a lot more services on site, they'll charge more. Like when they have the front desk that they're taking people in and out of, those ones charge more.
That makes sense. All right, cool. All right, so number three, what would be like a third pitfall?
Yes, so the third pitfall would be buying for the wrong reason. So these vacation rentals are perfect if you love Orlando, if you like to come to Florida often. It's really a self-sustaining vacation home. So when people call me, usually the very first question that I ask them is, what is the purpose of buying this property? And if it is, I want to make a return on investment, I'm just looking for an investment property, I would like to direct them maybe towards something like a long-term rental instead, because they're just, long-term rentals, you've got one person in for the year.
Yeah.
With short-term rentals, you have people coming in and out. There's a lot more to do with them, more maintenance, and but that's all worth it if you're going to be using it as a vacation home.
Sure, that makes sense. So you're kind of like offsetting your place to go stay. Someone else is paying off your mortgage, covering some of those fees. But if it's a strict investment play, long-term investment, you should probably go long-term rental.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. What's number four?
Number four would be the nuances of each resort. So every resort is run a tiny bit differently. For example, the resort that we're in right now, this is a single family home. Most single family vacation resorts, you can live in it long term if you want. This one in particular restricts that. You cannot live in this annually.
Yeah.
Other ones, it's the way that their clubhouses are run. If you use the on-site management, you have access to all of the amenities. If you have a certain membership fee that you pay, a membership that you're part of, you can use certain amenities on site and not others. So every single one has little nuances, and you want to be aware of those.
Yeah, for example, like Reunion we were talking about earlier, like they have on-site management, and if you use their on-site management, you can use all of the services. If you don't use their on-site management, which is kind of expensive compared to some of the other ones, then you don't get the access, and your rental rates will go down. So like there's all these kind of things to know about, right?
Right, and even if you advertise it on your Airbnb that you're not allowed to use the water park, sometimes people don't read that.
Yeah, they just assume it's in Reunion, I get to use it all, right?
Yeah, and you really want your reviews online to be top-notch. That is what gets you, the best rates. That's what keeps your house full. So that's one of the most important things to remember too, is online reviews.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. All right, so that's our video on buying a short-term rental here in Orlando. I hope you learned a little bit. It's a beautiful day, beautiful time to own a place here in Orlando. So if you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in Central Florida, we want to be your real estate resource of choice. Make sure you reach out at info@pozekgroup.com, and then make sure you subscribe, as we're putting out multiple videos every single week about life here in Orlando. We'll see you on the next video.